is the accusation. They're throwing around the word treason.
I hate to say this, but President Barack Obama, there is now incontrovertible evidence that he was the spearhead of a seditious conspiracy to subvert the will of the American people and overthrow the United States government back in 2016.
They're saying that Obama knew that Russia did not meddle in the election, did not have any impact in the election.
We must, absolutely must, hold every one of these criminals accountable for the crimes that they committed. They are the most heinous crimes committed in American history.
But yet promoted this idea.
James Comey, John Brennan, Clapper, Rice, Biden was in the meeting. They briefed Barack Obama on Hillary Clinton's plan to, quote, tie Trump to Russia collusion lies. It consumed our national discourse for 5 years.
And then there's been some incredible clips of all these different news reporters, CNN and MSNBC, just saying over and over and over again, clear evidence of Russian collusion.
For 20 years, you had Obama and George W. Bush's Department of Justice go easy on this guy. They didn't fully investigate the case. They didn't show any curiosity about the case. And now Donald J. Trump is asking his Department of Justice to show full transparency. And somehow that's a criticism of Donald J. Trump and not Barack Obama and George W. Bush. If you want to criticize the people who aren't showing full transparency, you ought to go after the administrations that went easy on Jeffrey Epstein, the administrations that concealed this case for 20 years, and the administrations that failed to show full transparency.
When the polished presidential glow smashes headfirst into blunt, unfiltered truth, the cracks don't just show, they explode wide open. Joe Rogan fires off like a sniper who never misses, while JD Vance drops a jab so sharp it slices straight through the PR shine. What starts off sounding like a roast turns into a total teardown, peeling back years of carefully scripted legacy to show the uncomfortable reality underneath.
Full screen.
What you know now, do you wish you had a third term? You know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine with that.
We know he wasn't really running the country.
Yeah.
We used to think he was actually running the country, and now they're like, no, he didn't even see those executive orders. That was all auto pen.
You know, first of all, I don't believe, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, whether you agree with Donald Trump or disagree with him, I don't believe in hectoring voters. I believe in persuading voters. Your support is not something I'm given or something I'm owed. It's something you got to go out there and work for. So one, I just don't like the tone of going in. I mean, look, the better question for Barack Obama or anybody to ask is not why black men. It's not how dare you not vote for Kamala Harris.
If you're vibing with this breakdown, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss the drama. Now, this takedown kicks off the way all the iconic ones do, by dragging out the parts fans never want to admit. The rehearsed cadence, the pause for effect speeches, that air of poetic charm people swore was history in the making. Rogan doesn't just poke holes in it, he rips through it like it's made of cardboard. He calls out the way the former president sold hope like a limited edition product, but once the lights went out, it looked more like a man relying on teleprompters, writers, and a forgiving public willing to overlook 8 years of mixed results.
Seen it? No. He gets a glass of Flint tap water, and I swear to God, he drinks it like this. Watch this.
Can I get some water? I really did need a glass of water. This is not a stunt.
Usually when something isn't a stunt, you have to say
it's
that.
100% a stunt. When was the last time a president stopped a speech to ask, can I get a glass of water? They would never do that. They would have water ready for him.
To Rogan, Obama's story isn't transformation, it's branding at its highest level. A salesman dressed as a statesman, convincing people that half measures were bold moves and foreign policy stumbles were secretly genius strategy. The Affordable Care Act? Rogan tears into that illusion, reminding folks how quickly it turned into higher costs, loopholes, and empty promises. The takeaway? Obama wasn't a trailblazer, he was a pitchman selling a product loaded with hidden fees.
I think the best people age the hardest. I think Obama was probably like a very idealistic young man.
Oh, Lord, what's going on now? Who's hollering? I can't even see it.
Who really wanted to change the world. And that dude aged more than anybody.
I mean, I'm getting old, so I can't hear that well. I can't see that good.
Who aged the least? Trump. Trump just
this is something that
His breast had off his shoulders like it was nothing.
We knock on wood wherever we may have wood that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball.
Rogan has a field day with the obsession over optics, like how a tan suit turned into a week-long media circus. Not because it mattered, but because the press would rather gush over outfits than ask tough questions about wars dragging on years after promised endings. As Rogan cracks, the guy could order a drone strike on a wedding and still land a Vogue spread a month later. If style points were all it took to lead, Obama would have been unbeatable. But reality isn't a fashion show. People need bills paid, systems fixed, and cities rebuilt.
The amount of backstabbing that's going on.
That's a very disrespectful attack on the American people who deserve the truth. They deserve to have faith and trust in the integrity of our democratic republic, which has been undermined by President Obama through his direction of this manufactured fake intelligence document, knowing that it was filled with lies.
Like when she got into office, you realize like you're not really in control of everything because there's another person who's in control of each individual department, and they'll stop whatever you're trying to do every step of the way. They get in the way of everything. What are you going to do? You're going to replace everybody?
Just when Rogan's roast feels at boiling point, JD Vance tags in. His target? Obama's supposed bond with working-class America. Vance calls it a mirage, pointing out how the Rust Belt wasn't saved, it hollowed out further. While Obama gave soaring speeches about globalization and unity, jobs vanished. To Vance, the Midwest photo ops looked less like concern and more like campaign set pieces.
Obama during this Kamala Harris administration, it changed my opinion of that guy.
I don't understand how we got so toxic, so divided, and so bitter.
He said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that.
Did you have a high opinion of him before?
Yeah, I did. I did just as an intelligent person, a statesman. He's probably like caught up in the system. It's very difficult to make real meaningful change. You think you're going to do something and then you get into office and you're like, oh God, what a quagmire this place is. But watching him just straight up lie about...
Rogan jumps back in, mocking how Obama became the Democrats' ultimate moral salesman, preaching transparency while running one of the most secretive administrations in decades, DOJ hammering whistleblowers, Silicon Valley ties locked tight. Rogan roasts the Nobel Peace Prize too, saying it was like giving out a trophy before the season even starts. Then he fast-forwards to post-presidency. Yachts, Netflix deals, 6-figure speeches for the same corporations he once promised to fight. Hypocrisy on display, and Rogan makes sure every punchline stings.
Fun because things are actually happening. Very different than most of the time when people get elected.
And I will shut down the Federal Department of Education, and we will move everything back to the state.
Most of the time when people get elected, they claim all these things when they're running for president. Then they get into office and not much changes.
Individualize education and do it with the love for their children.
And in fact, a lot of what they campaigned on, they don't practice at all. Great example is the Obama administration. The Hope and Change website had to be changed because there was a bunch of stuff in there about whistleblowers.
No, I don't think Mr. Snowden was a patriot. I called for a thorough review of our surveillance operations before Mr. Snowden made these leaks. My preference would have been for a lawful, orderly examination.
Vance steps up for round 2, this time slicing into Obama's racial politics. Not the barrier-breaking kind, but the way his identity became a shield against criticism. Disagree? You're branded morally suspect. Meanwhile, actual reforms to shrink wealth gaps or fix broken systems sat on the back burner. Vance calls out the contradiction. Obama's image of unity often masked divisive tactics.
Well, let me say just a couple of things. First of all, the president has been very clear. We're not shielding anything. The president has directed the Attorney General to release all credible information and, frankly, to go and find additional credible information related to the Jeffrey Epstein case. He's been incredibly transparent about that stuff, but some of that stuff takes time. You've got to assemble that stuff. You've got to compile that stuff.
Rogan isn't letting foreign policy off the hook. Libya spiraling into chaos, Afghanistan dragging on endlessly, Syria's red line redrawn so many times it looked like a child's sketchpad. The no-drama image? Rogan says it was a facade. Behind the calm speeches, the results were shaky, leaving allies second-guessing and enemies emboldened.
Obama did it, and it's disgusting. It's a disgusting lie. Let's play it.
Said that there were very fine people on both sides of a white supremacist rally.
You also had people that were very fine people on both sides. I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists. Okay?
See, that's crazy. I have never seen that last part of it
because the news has said that lie over and over and over and over.
The roast gets personal when Rogan points to the cult-like fandom Obama still enjoys. Some supporters act like he's a retired superhero ready to swoop back in, ignoring that today's political mess has roots in his choices. Rogan jokes it's like blaming your current landlord for the bad wiring but forgetting the last guy was the one who installed it. Then Vance lands his third and final blow, pinning the Democratic Party's identity crisis on Obama's playbook. He argues Obama trained a generation to chase Instagram likes and branding over actual results, birthing a party more obsessed with optics than impact.
I've had candid conversations with Tulsi Gabbard about what it was like.
It's a disservice to the American people that former President Obama's office and others who are criticizing the transparency that is being delivered by releasing these documents. They are doing a disservice to the American people and trying to deflect away from their culpability in what is a historic scandal.
She's a person, she tries to be friends with everybody, tries to reach across the aisle. She's got that whole aloha spirit.
The answer to that statement can very clearly be found throughout all of the documents that we have released, showing that Russia took action to try to sow discord in the election, but showed no preference for or against any.
Rogan starts pulling everything together like the final act of a roast. Obama, in his telling, was a political illusionist, selling hope as branding and change as a buzzword. People left remembering how he made them feel, not what he actually delivered. And that's Rogan's biggest punchline. Obama's brilliance wasn't leadership, it was selling a polished version of mediocrity. Every slogan, every pause, every smile, a trick to keep voters invested in the performance.
Nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes.
The thing that got me was that very fine people thing, the white supremacist thing. They just kept trying to say that he was a racist.
When he's not complaining, he's trying to sell you stuff. You're running for president and you're hawking merchandise. Gold sneakers, $100,000 watch. Why are you selling the watch? What are you doing?
Which is this thing that I think worked in like 2017. I don't think it works anymore. I don't think people believe it anymore. We've gotten numb to all this stuff.
Rogan's dismantling of Obama's political genius lands like precision cuts. He highlights the intentional dodges, the grand promises that quietly morphed when it came time to deliver. To Rogan, this wasn't leadership, it was political theater, applause prioritized over results. Vance piles on, ripping apart Obama's so-called middle-class revival. Manufacturing jobs didn't flood back, wages didn't spike, but the speeches? Oh, those sparkled. Vance's point is blunt. Communities got photo ops, not prosperity.
Remember when they gave that speech, when he gave a speech on television, and everybody was like, fuck this. And then they were, it kind of just went away.
It was one of the most beautiful moments in modern American history. People really actually stood up and stopped a war from happening.
Today, I authorize the Armed Forces of the United States to begin a limited military action in Libya in support of an international effort to protect Libyan civilians.
Rogan runs with it, calling out how Obama's post-White House lifestyle became the ultimate elite upgrade. Netflix, book tours, estates, all the trappings of wealth, wrapped in the same charm that once sold votes. Rogan laughs at the contradictions, comparing the failed healthcare rollout to a great communicator who couldn't even communicate with his own website. Vance delivers the final hammer, reminding viewers that Obama's years weren't a golden era, but a warm-up act for the chaos that followed. The gap between promises and reality created the frustration that reshaped U.S. politics. By the time the two are done, Obama's mythos isn't dented, it's shattered. What remains isn't a transformative legend, but a politician who proved style could overshadow substance, at least until someone called the bluff.